And for those of you that haven't met me, I'm Reverend Tam. Before I go any further, I want everyone to turn around and wave to everyone online so they feel like they're in here right now, okay? Throw them a heart since that's part of our theme, etc. Let's get them engaged here. So, February, our theme is love, and I'm lucky enough to be first, so I didn't have to start talking about Valentine's Day and all that sort of thing when you don't have a Valentine, although I saw chocolates on the back row, so somebody's doing good back there. But when we talk about love, let's have a moment and talk about the science, and that's why I asked Lisa to stay with me, because love has a frequency. In fact, it is the highest frequency that could possibly exist. It brings about joy and insight and connection. Lisa, give us the, and that's an F, you tell me.
It's an F on the Hatha.
Oh, say it again.
Heart chakra.
The heart chakra, okay. And when you bring this up, Lisa can let it rip with the frequency. So feel free to share with us what we know here. I'll stand right next to you so they can hear you.
The very core of the energy field, the geometry, the symbol in the yogic tradition of Anahata, it is a star tetrahedron. So it's moving, counter-rotating fields of light, the center of the Merkaba. Movements of consciousness flowing in constructs. It has its own energy field, its own nervous system. It's getting more sensitive. You might find yourself feeling more either triggered, either by things that upset you, or even overcome sometimes with joy at the beauty outside of nature. So this intensity is the expansion of the heart chakra. Part of our evolution is our own spirits are wanting to express more and more thoroughly through us.
Thank you.
All right.
Isn't that awesome? You know, I had prepared how to describe it and went, okay, everything I have set up sucks compared to what Lisa can do. And so thank you so much, my darling. And when I wrote this, it was early December, and we knew Claire and Kevin, our fearless organizers of all things that happen behind the scenes, were going on vacation. We knew that Jane would be retiring, and so we decided to get our acts together and share with everybody what we were going to talk about. We had to do our outline, etc., and then life happened. So whatever I promised I was going to say today, all bets are off, just so you know. And how many of you are going through a bit of a difficult time in this world right now? Raise your hand. Yeah. All right, I'm going to give you an easy trick just to begin with. When in doubt, put your hand on your heart. Okay? As you hear your heart beat, breathe in trust. Breathe out fear. Breathe in love. Breathe out doubts. And every time you feel like you lose your way, just put your hand on your heart, because your heart's going boom, 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 boom. And what I hear it saying, and boy have I needed it lately, love you, love you, love you. And it works every single time. In fact, I got a phone call from a client yesterday who's having a major life experience. And he was really excited. He may be online. If you are, hi, Joe. He was very excited to tell me that he explained all about the reptilian brain, because if you work with me, you're stuck with the neuroscience. So let's have a briefest moment. Reptilian brain is 15 million years old. In fact, I have been saying this for so long, it may be 16 million years old now. And it basically says, crap, I'm gonna die. It's that fear, it's the uncertainty, it's the doubt, it's the abusing of yourself that happens when we're stuck. It's the fight or flight motion. And the only way through it is to get to your frontal cortex, and that is where change can occur. When you're in fear, uncertainty, doubt, fight, and flight, do you think any of those things occur to you? Absolutely not. So that's when you put your hand on your heart. Here, love you, love you, love you. And your brain can get to the frontal cortex, and it's an easy trick. Just say something that's filled with gratitude so you can land there and get it to march its really prickly, ornery ass back off of your head. Okay? Now, does that sound like love? It is, because we start with the idea that love is an inside job. Doesn't that suck? All right? We have to turn inwards to know that we're going to be okay. And having a spiritual community, great friends, meditation practice, those are all the ways that no matter what is going on, you can come back to yourself. Now, I told you that I had written this in the beginning of December. I'll be really candid. December was showing up pretty darn good for me. You know, lots of great things going on, clients filling contracts for this year, you know, quality of time with family, friends, looking forward to the holidays. Jane had asked me to be with all of you on Christmas Eve, and we were writing the sketches together. Anytime I get to spend and design with Jane makes me incredibly happy. And I went home to California, and that was the beginning of my life changing rather drastically. My mom had fallen the day before Thanksgiving, and right when I went home to California, she had been x-rayed. Why a little old person wasn't x-rayed for every part of their body when they fall, we will never know. But it was announced she hadn't hurt anything and sent home to get better. It had been 15 days. Now, you will hear a little bit in this story, I don't have the most amazing relationship with my immediate family. I know I'm the only one, of course. But, and I, you know, got to California, and it was 3 or 4 days, maybe a week after, my mom had actually called me and asked me to call an ambulance to take her back to the hospital. She was in such extreme, horrible, horrible pain. Now, my dad is now 91, brilliant, amazing, short-term memory slipping about, but incredible. He's also very frugal and practical. A doctor's visit with an ambulance on a Friday is going to be a lot more expensive than Monday, so he wanted her to just take a moment. There's nothing wrong with that. That is his love language, how he supports the family, what he does. And Mom was in such desperate pain, I got the phone call. And I did what I do really well in my family, and I called an ambulance and informed my dad it was going to be there, and I pissed him off. But that's kind of been my role all of my life. Any of you know that you're the wacky one in the family tree and you're wondering if they knew? You know, yeah, okay. Me. You. And that's okay, because deep down inside, no matter what they say or do, if you know yourself, if you can love yourself, your truth will always shine. Okay? Not always easy, but it'll happen that way. So anyhow, she's going to go back to the hospital. This beautiful 87-year-old woman had broken her back. and 15 days trying to get out to hit the loo and everything else. Excruciating pain. There's going to be a surgery. She was going to refuse the surgery, by the way. Anybody that has older family members or have been through it or in a ministry, you know that some people have surgery at a certain age and all of them doesn't come back, so maybe she didn't want to do that. Plus, the love language between my folks of 66 years of marriage was she was always going to be there to take care of my 91-year-old father, and this was going to be horribly inconvenient, so therefore she's not going to have the surgery. And the neurosurgeon said, you can be in this excruciating pain for the rest of your life, or you can have the surgery. Yay. I mean, other than the oxy, great recovery. Great recovery. Everything. She's so happy, and she's going to move to a rehab facility, and I'm going to arrive in California, and I'm going to go see her. And just so you know, if you haven't met me before, I'm a huge Ducks fan, so I was already organizing a Rose Bowl party at the rehab facility for all the older people because I was going to be back on New Year's Day. So she's doing great. Okay? And so I come home, and I'm getting ready to be with all of you. I didn't have a spiritual program when I was a kid. I had nothing like that. And so Christmas Eve and Burning Bowl, these are my true north. To be with you, to have those practices, that has become my love language. Knowing in that moment all things will be amazing. So my family's a little unhappy with me because they're planning on a big vacation that's been scheduled for months and months and months. So they all want me to be home to take care of Dad because Mom's in rehab. You get the gist. And so, but I've made a promise to Jane in particular, but to all of you, and it's my happy place over the holidays. So I am going to tell them, I will send my daughter, many of you have met her before, Kat, who sings with Soulshine and all, and she is going to do December 20th through the 26th, and I'll be done. I'm gonna miss Burning Bowl, but that's okay, and I'm gonna head out on the 27th, and I'm gonna stay through January 5th, and I'm gonna get all of my love needs filled up, hanging out with all of you before we go. And I will tell you that something very serious happened, and there's a heartbreak in here, because my baby girl, now 25, but for me she's still a baby, is going to be there with my dad, taking care of them, planning their Christmas at the rehab center, the whole 9 yards. And the night of the 21st, she's going to call me sobbing, going, I'm racing to get Grampsy. The doctors have rushed her to the hospital, and it doesn't look good. And so an hour and a half later, my daughter has to call me and tell me my mother has passed away. Okay. Yeah. And there's another form of love language here. She's out sobbing. My folks live in California. I don't know if you know, they've been having a lot of rain, or at least they were. So she is outside the hospital sobbing to me in the pouring rain. And then she says to me, I have to go back and be with Grampsy. I literally just witnessed a heart breaking in half. And she left me alone to do my thing. I am going to get through this. I'm going to be on the plane the next day. Now, did I tell you my family's really, I'm the odd duck in the duck factory in that crowd? So one of the things you're going to find out is pretty much everything I am, including loud and annoying and all those other things, they just don't jam with. And they have spent the last 28 years denying that I am a reverend, which is a little funny as I tell you more about the story. But in the end, you have parts of you being removed when you get around your family. But love is finding it for yourself, knowing what your truth is, or calling Donna and saying, can you remind me who the hell I am? Because I'm really confused right now. And we all have those people, those friends that see you for who you are, who see you when you have been, what you will be, and where you're going. Okay? That's what the frequency of love really is. It's an inside job. Now, there's going to be shots fired the whole time. Probably the one that was most mind-blowing to me, and there are a lot, and we don't have to talk about it here, is the fact that I got out of the airport. A family member who I have loved since I was 15 years old picked me up, and the first thing that was said to me is, oh my God, how is everybody dealing with your church stuff since you came here instead of being there? And the only words I had is, well, my mom died? Because this spiritual program that we're a part of, that we experience, whether you found it in a program room, whether you found it listening to the Dalai Lama or Tony Robbins, whether you found it in yourself at a workshop here in this room, online, spirituality is one of the love languages that we can turn to and we can choose. And I love that for myself and everyone else in the room. So, it's going to be a rough patch here, but I have some comedy for you. My folks had lost control of their home. And an 87-year-old and a 91-year-old, are we surprised? No. But anytime we tried to help them, they wouldn't let us help. And so we were shooed off. And I can tell you, and please do not take in any shame, because that's not what I'm meaning to do here. It's simply God, Spirit, Divine Spirit's work for me was get your ass in gear and start cleaning stuff while you're there. That was what I got to do as my love language to my family. And I'm going to tell you, it was so bad. We're talking 15 hours a day of cleaning, probably 12 straight days in a row, and I made great headway. It was awesome. Now, many of us, including myself, it's been a little humbling, have been, we gather things. We have habits, and my dad's habit is all the lights and the heater has to be turned off when you go to bed. We were all given the instructions, turn off the lights. And sometimes my daughter, Katie, and I had stayed up later, and he thought when he would get up, coming down the long hallway on his walker, that we had screwed up because the lights were on. What was really going on is I was up and moving and cleaning at 4 a.m. every day, and I was hours into my cleaning detail, and I thought maybe after 2 or 3 days he'd finally remember, and he did not. So he would go through the house grumbling and turning off all the lights. And so, I told you he was 91. He'd come in and get his breakfast and get ready, and I'm somewhere in the pitch black, and I'd go, "Hi, Dad." And he would say, "What on earth are you doing in the dark?" So one of my defects of character is that I can filibuster like nobody else in the business. So I started making up stories. I told him that I had thought that maybe they had some glow-in-the-dark stuff. I'm just making up story after story after story, and here is a man who has lost his wife of 66 years, and we're laughing our asses off about silly things that are going on in the house. Did I spend all 12 to 15 days in the pitch black for at least an hour and a half or two every morning? Oh yeah, that just never went away, okay? But I also had to turn within. I had to think about What was I going to say to you when I got here? What was I going to say to me? What can I say to my daughter who's grieving in her own right and still trying to be this adult and take care of everybody else? And so my slogan became, sometimes minute by minute, I choose love. Okay? That's how we get to that amazing vibration that is better than anything else. Now, I told you there's some comedy, and I also told you they don't think I'm a reverend. I promise I am. So we would go to plan the burial. Side story, my mom was not Jewish. My father was, but neither one of them practiced anything for the most part. And so we end up deciding, Dad did, to have Mom buried at a Jewish cemetery where her best friend already was. So that worked out well for me because, I can just see her romping around in the cemetery with her best friend, begging my Aunt Sally to stop playing craps and go the hell to bed. Because that's what Sally did, and that's what Mom did. So, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. So we're meeting with a rabbi we have never met before. Family connections, it's okay. She's extraordinary. And she's trying to gather information for the burial and to be amazing for my mom and get her story. And she turns to my dad and says, "Are you going to speak?" And Dad said, "No." And I'm one of two girls. And he said, "I think," and he names my sister, "should speak." I said, "I'd like to say something too." And he immediately reacted, and he said, "I don't know that you're very good at public speaking." Now, this next part is probably right, and you do tend to ramble. So that's fair, okay, that's fair. Let's give him that, okay? And so I would say, well, maybe I could do a poem because this isn't my time. My dad needs to have time to mourn and be. This was never about me. This isn't a time to whip out my stole, which I, by the way, thought of bringing back with me that last time I went, and saying, "Oh, well, let's talk about the language of love and what we should be talking about here." No, this isn't mine. And that's also the language of love, to know when to sit back and say, I choose love as an action. So I managed to pull it off, because I don't publicly speak and all that sort of stuff. I didn't ramble. It was only a poem, and the burial was exquisite. Now, the whole time I'm getting the undercurrent comments, right? Just kind of this, that, and the other thing about, well, you did this. And, he was right, I do ramble. And so, but it isn't my turn to be who I am or what I most want, which was my people and spirituality and love languages exploding and heart chakras and blowing up in joy and radiant love and knowing that my mom is in a better place. And this is a time of celebration while allowing others to grieve around us. Not my story, not my time. Now I'm going to give you some contrast. One of the things that I do, Victor does, Tally does, some others do, is I work at the amphitheater during the summer. Okay? And oh boy, is that a fun thing to do. And Tally and I have the same boss. And he believes in love like nobody else you've ever met. He oozes it. You see him from across the street and you think to yourself, that is probably the definition of love. That's just who he is. And one day, I was working, and, if you've been to the amphitheater, it's a very large place. And we're on the security team. So any given day, our boss is going to be anywhere or everywhere all over that property, okay? And he uses a bike a lot just to be able to get everywhere during a show. And so I usually work in the back. My friend and the lead is Jared right back there, and I wooed him in today. Hi, Jared. And so I see him on his bike, and you're just not going to interrupt him, okay? And he sees me, okay, love when I get seen. And he drops his bike, runs up to me, picks me up, twirls me around, puts me down, looks me in the face, and says, I love everything about you. I love when you're here. I miss you when you are not. I know you get to choose your hours. I just wanted you to know how much you matter and how much I love you. Tell me if I didn't find my love language partner in crime for the rest of my life, okay? So, I'm going to get a text during all of the shots fired interactions trying to find my love language to be quiet and let everybody be whoever they need to be. There is a little mommy Wolverine in here, but we'll talk about that some other time. I get a text because Jared had told my boss at the amphitheater that my mom had passed away. And I get a text in the middle of everything, and it says, do not forget who you are, how much you're loved, and we are so sorry. If you need anything, I'm only, and all of us are only a text away. So what's the moral of that story? We all have our people that are helping us with our own love language, but it goes within. If I decided this was my grandstanding day, I'm not celebrating my mom. I'm not letting my dad have what he most needs. And I'm going to make you cry in a second, I think. So at the burial, 91-year-old man on a walker, has to get over the lawn and everything else. We had a burial crasher. That was something I've never had before. My sister kept saying, who is that? I'm like, I have no idea. Who crashes a burial? Okay? But she was sitting next to my Aunt Sally's daughter, who, for all intents and purposes, is my sibling. And I realized when I got home that my childhood friend is in agony too. She misses my mom. So what if it wasn't a burial crashing, but a dear friend that came to sit with her and be with her and witness her grief and hold her heart at a time she needed it most? That's another way to bring love within. No judgment, comedy, okay? Now, they're going to reach the time that they have to lower the casket. And my dad is frail, brilliant, very put together, at the ripe old age of 91, but very frail. And he starts shaking, and he's calling to them to stop. Excuse my vocabulary. The things going off in my head are not good right now. And I'm going to decide my role at the burial is to hover over Dad and just make sure, he's safe, he's steady, and everything else. And he shouts out again, and they do not stop. And I, being really loud, and we know able to ramble quite a bit, said, please stop now. And the people doing their job stopped and all looked at me. And my dad hobbled over to the casket, and he kissed it. And he said, I love you. And he was able to come back and sit down. And the ceremony was over. What I need you to hear is that we always get to choose. We always get to choose love, even if it's the hardest thing you can think about. So I have an easy formula for you. You ready? S plus R equals O. Your situation does not equal the outcome. See how I took that R all the way out of there? Okay. Your response, and if you choose love, that may work brilliantly. Your response allows you to control the outcome. What if I had been all ornery and said, hey, I'm Reverend Tam, and I've done a lot of these in my lifetime. I think I can handle the burial talk. Who cares? If I'm the person that you call to help you bury somebody in your life, I'm going to be there for you. My job is to support you. That is a love language. That is choosing love. S plus R equals O. Really simple. I invite you to find your reaction, and when you can, activate that highest frequency, which is love, and let the rest take care of itself. Okay? In closing, I have a last slide that I'm going to ask you all to read with me. Okay? Maybe this could be your affirmation. Take a picture of it if you think you're going to forget. But I think this works. Will you all say it with me today? Today, I will choose love. Tomorrow, I will choose love. And the day after that, I will choose love. If I mistakenly choose distraction, perfection, or negativity over love, I will not wallow in regret. I will choose love until it becomes who I am. Thank you.